Assalamualaikum and hi, we are from class J4BA1174E, Group 3. I am Nur Afirediha binti Azri and my group members, which consist of Nik Aisyah Hafiza binti Nik Mohammed, Nurul and Fatiha binti Abdul Rashid, Putri Nur Sarah Aina binti Zan Zubair, and Nur Haziq bin Sulaiman. So, today we would like to present about Chapter 2, Financial Analysis, based on past year question that we choose. For April 2008, we have to calculate the indicated ratios for Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad and evaluate the overall performance of the company according to liquidity, activity, profitability, and leverage ratios. For the first one, current ratio, which is liquidity, the formula to calculate it is current asset divided by current liabilities. So, 780,000 divided by 540,000 equals to 1.44 times. Therefore, Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad current ratio will be 1.44 times and industry average is 2.40 times. So, industry average current ratio is higher than Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad, and then will make the firm has a lower ability to meet short-term obligation. Next, for quick ratio, which is also liquidity, and the formula to calculate it is first current asset minus the inventory, and the total will be divided with current liabilities. So it will be 780,000 minus 300,000, and the total is 480,000. The 480,000 will divide it with 540,000, and it will equals to 0.89 times. From the calculation, Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad quick ratio is 0.89 times and industry average is 1.4 times. So it will make industry average quick ratio is higher than Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad, and the firm has a lower ability to pay without having to rely on liquid current asset. For debt ratio, which is leverage, the formula to calculate is total debt divided by total asset. So it will be 1,330,900 divided with 2,117,000 equal to 60.45%. So the debt ratio of Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad is 60.55%, which is higher than industry average, which is 44.1%, and it will make the firm is bad in managing its debt and high financial risk. Time interest earned, which is also leverage, and the formula to calculate is earning before interest and tax divided with interest. So the calculation will be 260,300 divided with 85,000, and the total will be 3.06 times. And it will be Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad time interest earned is lower than industry average, because industry average is 6.61 times, and it will make the firm is bad in meeting their interest payment obligation.
For average collection period, which is activity ratios, the formula is account receivable multiply 360 divided by sales. The calculation is 400,000 multiplied 360 divided by 1,875,000. It will be Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad average collection period is 77 days, but industry average is 39 days. That means Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad has a higher average collection period than industry average. The firm is bad in managing its credit sales and less cash in hands. Next, inventory turnover, which is activity ratios. The formula is cost of goods sold divided by inventory. So, the calculation will be 1,310,000 divided by 300,000, and it will be 4.37 times. That means Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad inventory turnover is lower than industry average, because industry average is 5.11 times. The firm is ineffectively using its inventory to generate sales. For the net profit margin, which is profitability ratios, the formula is earning after tax divided by sales. The calculation will be 119 and 700,000 divided by 1,875,000 equal to 6.38%. Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad net profit margin is lower than industry average. Industry average is 7.96%. The firm does not have a better growth project and unable to generate net earnings to shareholders. The last calculation for April 2008 is return on asset, which is profitability ratios. The formula is earning after tax divided by total asset. The calculation is 119 and 700,000 divided by 2,170,000 equal to 5.52%. Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad return on asset is 5.52%. Industry average is 8.95%. Industry average return on asset is higher than Nasaruddin Ahmad Berhad. The firm is unable to control costs in its operation and cannot provide more wealth.
September 2011. Based on the financial statements, we have to calculate the indicated ratios for QAE Berhad, use 360 days per year, and to evaluate the overall performance of the company according to liquidity, activity, profitability, and leverage ratios. The first one is current ratio, which is one of the liquidity ratios. The formula of current ratio is current asset divided by current liabilities. The calculation will be 153,450 divided by 70,000, and the total will be 2.19 times. Therefore, QAE Berhad current ratio is 2.19 times. Industry average is 2.50 times. Industry average current ratio is higher than QAE Berhad. The firm has a lower ability to meet short-term obligation. Quick ratio also one of the liquidity ratios. The formula is current asset minus inventory divided by current liabilities. The calculation will be 153,450 minus 70,750 divided by 70,000. The total will be 1.18 times. Therefore, QAE Berhad quick ratio is 1.18 times. Industry average is 2.00 times. Industry average quick ratio is higher than QAE Berhad. The firm has a lower ability to pay without having to rely on illiquid current assets. The next one is debt ratio, which is one of the leverage ratios. The formula is total debt divided by total asset. The calculation will be 150,450 divided by 206,950. The total will be 72.70%. QAE Berhad debt ratio is 72.70%. Industry average is 50%. QAE Berhad debt ratio is higher than industry average. Therefore, the firm is bad in managing its debt and high financial risk. Times interest earned also one of the leverage ratios. The formula is earnings before interest and tax divided by interest. The calculation will be 19,000 divided by 2,600. The total will be 7.31 times. QAE Berhad times interest earned is 7.31 times. Meanwhile, industry average is 6.50 times. QAE Berhad times interest earned is higher than industry average. The firm is good in meeting their interest payment obligation.
Next, average collection period or ACP. The formula to calculate average collection period is account receivables times 360 divided by sales. The calculation will be 49,200 times 360 divided by 250,000 equals to 71 days. QAE Berhad average collection period is higher than industry average. Industry average collection period is 60 days. This means QAE Berhad is bad in managing its credit sales and less cash in hands. Fixed asset turnover or FATO. The formula to calculate fixed asset turnover is net sales divided by net fixed assets. The calculation will be 250,000 divided by 64,750 equals to 3.86 times. QAE Berhad inventory turnover is lower than industry average. Industry average inventory turnover is 9.50 times. This means QAE Berhad is not able to utilize its fixed asset and bad in managing its asset. Net profit margin. The formula to calculate net profit margin is earnings after tax divided by sales. The calculation will be 9,000 divided by 250,000 equals to 3.60%. QAE Berhad net profit margin is lower than industry average. Industry average net profit margin is 12.50%. This means QAE Berhad does not have a better growth project and unable to generate net earnings to shareholders. Lastly, return on asset or ROA. The formula to calculate return on asset is earnings after tax divided by total assets. The calculation will be 9,000 divided by 206,950 equals to 4.35%. QAE Berhad return on assets is lower than industry average. Industry average return on assets is 5.50%. This means QAE Berhad is unable to control costs in its operation and cannot provide more wealth.
Now we'll be proceeding through March 2016. This question is based off the above financial statement. A. Given the above industry averages, calculate the indicated ratios for the year 2015. B. Based on your answer in A, evaluate the overall performance of the company according to liquidity, activity, profitability, and leverage ratios. Firstly, current ratio. Current ratio is a liquidity ratio that measures a company's ability to pay short-term obligations or those due within 1 year. It tells investors and analysts how a company can maximize the current asset on its balance sheet to satisfy its current debt and other payable. So the formula for calculating a current ratio is current asset divided by current liability, which result in 1.93 times for Blackie Enterprise. For the industry average, current ratio is 1.8 times. Industry average current ratio is lower than Blackie Enterprise, therefore the firm has a higher ability to meet short-term obligation. Secondly, quick ratio. The quick ratio is an indicator of a company's short-term liquidity position and measure a company's ability to meet its short-term obligation with its most liquid asset. See, it indicates the company's ability to instantly use its near cash asset, which is asset that can be converted quickly to cash, to pay down its current liability. It is also called the acid test ratio. The formula for quick ratio is total of current asset minus inventory minus prepaid expenses, divide by current liability, and the answer is 1.43 times. And the industry average is 1.25, showing that the industry average is lower than Blackie Enterprise. That is, the firm has a higher ability to pay without having to rely on illiquid current asset. Thirdly is debt ratio. It is to measure the percentage of total funds provided by creditors as compared to fund provided from owner capital. Total debt consists of current liability and long-term debt. Thus, the net of debt ratio is the percentage of funds provided by owners. Higher ratio normally indicates higher financial risk, and vice versa. The formula is total debt divided by total asset, and the answer is 56.32%, and industry average is 50%, showing that Blackie Enterprise debt ratio is higher than industry average, thus resulting the firm is bad in managing its debt and have a high financial risk. Fourth, time interest earned. To measure the firm's ability to meet interest payment and the extent to which earnings can decline without resulting in financial embarrassment due to its inability to meet annual interest costs. Higher ratio indicates the higher capability and lower risk of default. The formula is earning before interest and tax divided by interest equal to 2.86 times, and industry average is 3 times. Blackie Enterprise has a lower average collection period than industry average, showing that the firm is bad in meeting their interest payment obligation. The last but not least is average collection period. It is to appraise the firm's account receivable and its credit policy. It represents the average length of time that the firm must wait after making credit sales before receiving the cash. It can also be compared to the firm's sales term to see if the customer are paying on time and shorter period. It is preferred as the cash cycle is lower and more cash available in the company to meet the cash requirement. The formula for average collection period is account receivable times with 360 days divided by sales equals to 54 days. Industry average is only 45 days, which conclude that Blackie Enterprise has a higher average collection period than industry average. Thus, the firm is bad in managing its credit sales and have less cash in hand.
Fixed asset turnover or FIN242. The formula to calculate is net sales divided by net fixed assets. So, the calculation will be 8 million divided by 6,480,000 equal to 1.23 times. Blackie Enterprise inventory turnover is 1.23 times lower than industry average. Industry average inventory turnover is 1.60 times. This means Blackie Enterprise is not able to utilize its fixed asset and bad in managing its asset.
Net profit margin is one of the profitability ratios. The formula is earnings after tax divided by sales. The calculation will be 312,000 divided by 8 million. The total is 3.90%. Therefore, Blackie Enterprise net profit margin is 3.90%, while industry average is 3.00%. Blackie Enterprise net profit margin is higher than industry average. The firm have a better growth project and able to generate net earnings to shareholders.
Lastly is return on asset is profitability ratios. The formula is earnings after tax divided by total assets. The calculation will be 312,000 divided by 8,700,000 equal to 3.59%. Industry average return on asset is higher than Blackie Enterprise because the industry average is 8.50%. The firm is unable to control costs in its operation and cannot provide more wealth. That's all from us. Thank you.